All right, so are you ready to get a little spooked?
Oh, I'm always up for a good scare,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to well-crafted short stories.
Well, you're in for a treat. Someone sent us this collection of short horror stories by a high school student named Zoea Marlin.
Oh, wow, high school. That's impressive.
Right. And let me tell you, she's got a real talent for this stuff.
I bet. What kind of stories are we talking about?
They're these really short, punchy stories, but they pack a serious punch. Each one plays with different fears and anxieties, but they all have this really unsettling atmosphere that sticks with you.
I'm intrigued already.
Okay, so let's jump into the first one, Who's in My Bed? It's a pretty classic horror setup, right? You've got a kid's room, it's bedtime, and the dad goes in to say goodnight to his son.
Okay, sounds familiar so far. What's the twist?
Well, right away, Zoea throws in this detail that just sends chills down your spine. The kid is lying there with this really creepy grin stretched across his face.
Oh, okay, that's not right.
Right. It immediately subverts that whole comforting bedtime routine you'd expect. It makes you wonder what's going on behind that smile.
Yeah, it's like a warning sign. Something's not right here.
Exactly. And then, like most kids do, the son asks his dad to check under the bed.
Oh, I hate when they do that, even in real life.
Me too. But in this case, it's even worse because when the dad looks under the bed, he finds his son huddled down there looking absolutely terrified.
Oh, no. So who's in the bed then?
That's the big reveal, and let's just say it's not who he expects. Zoea doesn't explicitly say what it is, which makes it even scarier.
Oh, I see. She leaves it up to our imaginations to fill in the blanks.
Exactly. And our imaginations can be pretty dark places, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes what we don't see is far more terrifying than anything a writer could describe.
Okay, so how about we move on to the next story? This one is called The Cabin, and it's a real nail-biter. We're talking deep woods, a lone hiker, and a creepy old cabin.
Ooh, sounds like a classic horror movie setup.
I'm in. So it's getting dark, and this hiker stumbles upon what seems like an abandoned cabin. You know, the kind with cobwebs and creaky floorboards. He's relieved to find shelter, even if it is a little creepy.
Yeah, I can see why he'd take the risk. Better than being lost in the woods at night.
Totally. He finds a bed and tries to get some sleep, but he can't shake this feeling of being watched. And then he notices these portraits on the walls, staring down at him.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. What kind of portraits?
They're these strange-looking people, and every single one has this weird, unnerving smile. It's like they're mocking him or maybe even enjoying his fear.
Ugh, this is giving me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Right. And the whole time, he's got this feeling that they're not just pictures, that something is off about them.
So what happens? Do the paintings come to life or something?
Well, it's not quite like that. See, the next morning, he wakes up, and all the portraits are gone.
Gone. Just like that.
Yep. And where the paintings were, there are now windows.
Oh, wow, hold on. So wait, the cabin wasn't abandoned after all.
Nope. It's like someone was living there all along, watching him the whole time.
Oh my God, that is so creepy. It's like that feeling of being observed, but you don't know by whom or why.
It's like Zoea just drops this bomb on you and walks away, leaving you to put the pieces together.
And the scariest part is that we never find out who was in that cabin or why the portraits disappeared.
What makes you wonder, right? Was it all in his head? Or was there something truly sinister going on?
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely thinking twice about staying in any remote cabins anytime soon.
Me neither. Okay, so ready for another one? This next one is called The Red Wristband, and it takes place in a hospital, which already has a creepy vibe.
Oh yeah, hospitals can be scary places, all those sick people, and the thought of, well,
Exactly, and Zoea uses that setting to create this really effective story about the boundary between life and death. So in the story, they have this color-coded wristband system. Green means the patient is alive, and red means, well, not so much.
oh wow, that's kind of morbid. I wonder if they do that in real life.
I'm sure they have some system, but maybe not with those specific colors. Anyway, our main character is a doctor, and he's heading down to the basement in an elevator.
Alone. At night.
Well, there's one other person in the elevator with him, but then, just as the doors are closing, this man with a red wristband tries to get on.
Oh no. He doesn't get on, does he?
Well, the doctor freaks out and slams the elevator door shut. He's totally relieved to have avoided the guy. But then the other passenger in the elevator, a woman, asks him why he did that. And when the doctor explains about the red wristband, she just lifts up her wrist. And it's red, too.
What? No way, that's messed up.
Right, and then the story just ends We don't know who this woman is, what happens next, or what it even means that she has a red wristband.
That is such a chilling ending. It's
Yeah.
like she throws this terrifying image at you and then just leaves you hanging.
Exactly. It's the kind of story that makes you look over your shoulder every time you get in an elevator.
You said it. Okay, I'm ready for the next one. Hit me with another one. It really makes you think twice about who you're sharing a ride with.
Right. So let's move on to a story that explores a different kind of fear. The fear of the unknown and maybe even a little bit of voyeurism. This one's called White with
White with RD. Interesting title. I'm all ears.
So picture this. A man moves into a new apartment building, and right away the receptionist warns him about a certain door with no number on it. She tells him to stay away, whatever he does.
Oh, that's not ominous at all. I bet he listens, right?
Of course not. He's immediately intrigued. Like, what's behind that door? Why is it so forbidden?
Yeah, human curiosity, right? It's a powerful thing, especially when you're told not to do something.
Exactly. So later that night, he can't resist. He sneaks down the hallway and peeks through the keyhole.
Oh, no, he shouldn't do that. What does he see?
At first, it doesn't seem that bad. It's just a stark white apartment, completely empty except for a woman standing in the middle of the room. She's got pale skin and long black hair, and she's just facing the wall, completely still.
Okay, that's definitely creepy, but maybe she's just, meditating or something.
Maybe, but it's still unsettling, right? The whole scene is just so stark and eerie. Anyway, he figures it's none of his business and goes back to his apartment. But the image of that woman standing there in that white room, it just sticks with him.
I bet. It would kind of haunt you, wouldn't it? Like, what's her story?
Right. And the next day, he finds himself drawn back to the door. He has to look again.
Oh, no, he's going back. This can't be good.
This time, when he looks through the keyhole, all he sees is red.
Red. Just red. What does that even mean?
He assumes she's just blocked the keyhole with something, but later that day, he mentions it to the receptionist just casually. And that's when things get really weird.
Oh, I bet. What does she say?
She tells him that the couple who used to live in that apartment were, well, a little different. They had pale skin, long black hair, and red eyes.
Red eyes. Hold on, now that color red's taking on a whole new meaning.
Exactly. It goes from being just a weird visual detail to something much more sinister, like a warning sign or something.
Yeah, it's like Zoe is using that color to signal danger, or maybe even something supernatural.
And the really creepy part is that we never find out what happened to that couple or why they were so obsessed with the color red.
That's the best part of these stories. They leave so much to the imagination. It's so much scarier that way.
All right, ready for a complete change of pace. This next story, A Mother's Call, is so short it's almost like a flash fiction piece, but man, it is effective.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
So picture this. A young girl is in her room, and she hears her mom calling her name.
Oh, that's sweet. Nothing creepy about that.
Oh, but here's the twist. Before she can even get up to see what her mom wants, her real mom bursts into the room and pulls her into the laundry room.
Wait, her real mom? You mean like...
Yeah, like someone else was calling her, pretending to be her mom.
Oh, wow, that's just wrong. Okay, now I'm creeped out.
And then the mom whispers, "Don't go down there, honey. I heard it too." And that's it. That's the whole story.
Wait, that's it. She doesn't explain what she heard, who it was.
Nope. Zoya just leaves you hanging with that chilling image.
And it works, right? I mean, my mind is already racing, trying to figure out what they heard.
That's the brilliance of it. It's so much scarier to let our imaginations fill in the blanks.
Totally. It's like she taps into that primal fear of the unknown, the things that go bump in the night.
Okay, now let's talk about a couple of stories that deal with a different kind of fear. The fear of being lost and overwhelmed in a crowd. The first one is called A Crowded Airport, and it really captures that sense of anxiety and disorientation you can feel in a busy place like that.
Oh, yeah, airports can be stressful. All those people rushing around, the noise, the announcements. It's easy to feel lost and alone.
Exactly. And in this story, that's exactly what happens to our main character. He arrives at this crowded airport and can't find his wife anywhere.
Oh, man, I hate when that happens. It's like the worst game of hide and seek ever.
Right. He starts searching frantically, but it's like she's vanished into thin air. The crowd just keeps pressing in on him, all these faces blurring together. He's starting to panic, feeling totally helpless.
Oh, I can totally relate. It's like that fear of being separated from someone you love, of being lost in a sea of strangers.
And then just when he's about to give up hope, he thinks he sees her in the distance.
Oh, thank goodness. He finds her, right?
He calls out her name, but she doesn't respond. So he starts pushing through the crowd, desperate to reach her, and when he finally gets close enough to see her face, well, it's not his wife.
Wait, what? It's not his wife. Then who is it?
That's the creepy part. It's someone who looks exactly like her, but there's something off about her. Like she's a copy, but a flawed one.
Oh, wow, that's messing with my head. It's like that fear of doppelgangers or even like, body snatchers or something.
Like a glitch in the matrix, right? It makes you question your own perception of reality.
Totally. Okay, so what happens next? Does he ever find his real wife?
That's the thing. Zoya leaves the ending open. We don't know if it was all just a stress-induced hallucination or if there was something more sinister going on.
Ugh, that ambiguity is what makes it so effective. It leaves you with that lingering sense of unease, like, what if it could really happen?
Right. Like, how do you know for sure that the people you love are really who you think they are?
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to be paying extra attention to faces in crowds from now on.
Me too. All right, let's switch gears a bit and head over to Taiwan for a story called The Shilin Night Market. Now, night markets are usually pretty lively and fun places, but Zoya manages to inject this undercurrent of unease into the story.
Well, I love night markets. All the food, the crowds, the energy. Curious to see how she turns that into something creepy.
So, in this story, you've got a group of friends exploring the market, trying different snacks, having a good time. But then they come across this stall selling these strange meat skewers.
Strange meat? Like what kind of strange?
We don't know exactly, but the vendor is super creepy, and the meat smells kind of off. But one of the friends, the adventurous one, decides to try a skewer anyway.
Oh, no. That's never a good idea in a horror story. What happens?
Well, as you can probably guess, things go south pretty quickly. He starts feeling sick almost immediately and experiences these bizarre side effects.
Bizarre how?
His behavior starts changing. He gets really aggressive, almost animalistic. It's like whatever he ate is taking over his body and mind.
Ugh, that's like body horror. I hate that. It's so disturbing.
Right. It plays on that fear of losing control, of our own bodies betraying us.
It makes you think twice about trying those exotic street foods, right?
Yeah, I think I'll stick to pizza from now on, thanks.
Really a good idea. So does he ever recover, or is he stuck like that?
Zoya leaves the ending open, but it's definitely implied that something has permanently changed in him.
Ugh, that's even scarier than a straightforward monster story.
I know. It makes you think about what we put into our bodies and the potential consequences of our choices.
It really is food for thought, huh?
Literally. All right, ready for a couple more stories? These last two are kind of a pair, exploring a similar theme but from different angles.
Okay, sounds interesting. What's the theme?
It's about that fear of being trapped, of losing control, and maybe even a little bit about the dangers of trusting authority figures.
Ooh, okay, getting a little philosophical now. I like it.
So the first story is called Karya Wisata Economy Keyless 10, which translates to Class 10 Economics Field Trip.
A field trip to learn about economics. That doesn't sound too scary.
I know, right? But trust me, Zoya finds a way to make it creepy. So it starts off pretty normal. You've got a group of high school students on a field trip to a local bank, learning about finance and stuff.
Okay, I've been on some boring field trips, but that takes the cake.
Right. But as the tour goes on, things start to feel off.
Off how? Like, are the bankers giving them bad financial advice?
Well, it's not the advice that's the problem. It's the bankers themselves.
What do you mean?
The students start noticing that the bank employees are acting really strange. Like, their movements are stiff, their smiles are forced, and their eyes have this weird glint to them.
Okay, yeah, that's a little creepy, like Stepford Wives style creepy.
Exactly. And the tour guide keeps leading them deeper and deeper into the bank, like into the vault and stuff, places that are supposed to be off limits.
I don't like where this is going.
Me neither. The atmosphere gets really oppressive, like they're being closed in.
It's like that bank, a symbol of security and stability, suddenly becomes this threatening place.
Right. And then just when the tension is at its peak, the lights go out.
Oh no. What happens next?
When the lights come back on, the students are all alone, the bank employees have vanished, and the only way out is through this heavy steel door that's locked from the outside.
Oh wow. Talk about a nightmare. Trapped in a bank vault with a bunch of creepy missing bankers. No thanks.
And Zoya ends the story right there, with the students pounding on the door, desperate to get out.
So, we never find out what happened to them? Or what was up with those bankers?
Nope. It's left completely open to our imaginations.
Which honestly makes it even more terrifying. Our minds can conjure up some pretty messed up scenarios.
Okay, ready for the last story. This one is titled Class 10 Economics Field Trip.
Wait a minute, isn't that the English translation of the previous story's title?
Exactly. It's like a companion piece, revisiting the same events, but from a different perspective.
Interesting. So is it like a sequel or what?
Not exactly. See, instead of focusing on the external events, this version delves into the psychological impact of the experience on the students.
Oh, I see. So we get to see how they're processing this whole
Yeah.
terrifying ordeal.
Right. We see their initial excitement about the field trip turn into confusion, then fear, and eventually full-blown panic as they realize they're trapped.
So it's more about the internal horror than the external threats.
Yeah, it's about how this seemingly normal educational experience transforms into a psychological nightmare.
That's a cool way to approach it.
Yeah.
So do we get any answers in this version? Like what happened to the bankers or why they were acting so creepy?
Nope, the ending is still open-ended. But this version leaves us with a different kind of lingering unease, a sense of distrust in the institutions we're supposed to rely on.
Yeah, I can see that. Like what happens when the systems that are supposed to protect us turn out to be just as scary or even scarier than the things they're supposed to be protecting us from?
That's a really thought-provoking point, and I think that's what makes Zoe's stories so effective. They don't just scare us, they make us think about the world around us in a new way.
Totally. They tap into these deep-seated fears and anxieties that we all have, but maybe don't always acknowledge.
So what did you think of Zoe's stories? Which one creeped you out the most?
Oh, man, that's tough. They were all so well done. I think for me, A Mother's Call was the most unsettling. Just that simple idea of a familiar voice being twisted into something sinister. That gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, that one was definitely a gut punch. But for me, I think the image of that woman in the elevator with the red wristband is going to stay with me for a while.
Ooh, yeah, that was a good one too.
What's amazing is how all of these stories, despite being so short, manage to tap into these really primal fears: the dark, isolation, the unknown, the loss of identity. And Zoe doesn't need elaborate setups or pages and pages of gore. She does it all with these little details, these chilling images, these moments of unsettling ambiguity.
And that's the mark of a truly talented horror writer.
Yeah.
They know how to get under your skin, to plant a seed of fear and let it grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be sleeping with the lights on tonight. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Zoe Amarlin's short, scary stories.
Anytime. Sweet dreams.